Right there too, Violet like sees. She hasn't really had time to sit down and think about how bad it is Louis got no tongue.
Yeah.
It's actually so sad he doesn't have a tongue.
It really, I know, because he was so effervescent. Use that word.
We made sure that each of their horrible wounds was really bad for the specific person they are.
Right.
We're really mean.
Yeah, you are.
It's the Walking Dead guys.
I know.
That's true.
There's Sue Lenny out there. We should talk about Sue Lenny for a second. Sue Lenny, the lady who
Lenny.
looks like she's wearing a couch. She at one point was the final boss.
Yeah, she was the Minnie on the bridge before Minnie became the Minnie on the bridge.
Yeah, she was going to be strapped with grenades and like on fire or something, and she was going to chase you across the bridge. Just furious that she was the last raider. And we had to strap her with grenades on fire because we couldn't figure out how to make her scary because she's very short.
Come on, we're getting out of here. There's no end to these little shits. Put them down. Oh, shit! Clem, do something. You.
Anyways, look, the first ever zombie on human kill in the whole season.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Minnie.
Everybody was really good at zombies all season.
She's quite striking, this one.
She's amazing. She's one of the best looking characters I think we've ever made.
Everything about her is pretty awesome. Her hair is super rad.
And she gets this whole montage of being a zombie killing badass just for her.
I mean, she pisses me off. I don't necessarily like her at all, but she looks amazing.
Yeah, I think she's a great character, but it makes total sense if you hate her because she's very
Yes.
bad for you specifically.
Yes.
She's gonna get herself killed.
Oh, well.
And poor Violet's got to
there
go through this whole thing
goes.
where she's her ex-girlfriend
Ex.
turned into a psychopath.
Right.
My favorite Omer line in the whole
Yay.
season.
See, I told you. I knew he talked.
He does talk occasionally.
He sounds so dire, though.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
He had some more lines here where Asim and Omar are helping each other up, but it was just kind of like prattle about what they were doing, and the visuals kind of sell on their own. Hey, first time the other character kisses Clem outside of player control.
Nice.
We figure you've consented to the relationship by this point.
That little smirk and run.
Yeah.
Smirk and
She has a good
gotta
smirk.
run.
Violet says Clem's catchphrase to her, a true sign of knowing her for long enough. I remember we actually tried for like a hot second to try to have the same cover shooting mechanic that we have on the bridge later at this part, but just due to like just deadlines of the project having to be done on time, it was not going to happen. So we just go back with the traditional reticle thing here.
Pressure, my God. I mean, it's so on the voiceover side, you know, we have our sessions are scheduled. We go in, we do what we do. If we don't finish, we have another session, tra-la-la. I mean, just, then that's coming up so much, and not to get serious, but in video games these days, of just the pressures, like the time, so much of a crunch.
It's a miracle that
amazing. I just
any
don't
game
even
gets made ever.
understand. I know. I guess that's my whole point. Is it's just kind of crazy what you do. And thank you.
You're welcome.
The schedule in this one
thank
too, like
you.
there is not a wasted like minute. Like this is exactly
sure.
as much stuff as there possibly could have been given the amount of time and people we had to make this thing in. It was literally crazy.
Yeah.
We couldn't have an ounce of fat on this thing if we were going to get it done on time.
I was definitely, and a lot of the team was there late at night, many a nights, trying to just get as much possible polish into the thing as possible.
Tin! Go!
Hey, look, the one-time 10 does something cool. Yeah.
Oh.
He tries. He got Clementine her knife back. Uh-oh.
Whoa, what's going on with that wall?
Whoa.
Let's pretend we didn't see that bug that we
No,
just saw.
yeah, no, that was completely intentional.
I think that must have been a Zombat zombie.
Zombat, that's kind of our inside term as a developer team for the zombie combat mechanic, where you're kind of walking around and you can fight zombies.
Oh, that's what it means.
Yeah.
Zombat.
Clem, monsters. We need to move. We'll have to squeeze through there.
We don't know where it goes.
Well, we don't have a choice, kid.
We got to go in there, 10. I love AJ saying,
Move
it, dummy.
AJ.
God.
I remember our environment lead was like, we don't have much time. I can give you like a little bit of a beach in front of a cave. And we are like, okay. And then he gave us that beautiful atmosphere outside with this like gorgeous matte painting.
Yeah, Sim, our environment lead, went above and beyond on all this stuff, especially this cave stuff, which is so cool. The cave was really
the
nice to
rush
finally
of
get
water.
a different kind of environment in here. Yeah, that rushing water took a while to come together. We have this crazy thing called like ripple maps that like causes all the the stuff like flowing around the rocks and stuff like that. And it's really just like a bunch of like flowing textures and stuff, but the effect is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, how do I'm trying to make an Easter egg occur. Is it crystal?
It's crystal,
Crystal,
Calypso, Woodpile.
Crystal, Calypso, Woodpile,
Yeah.
River. Okay.
This is an Easter egg that
Okay.
was supposed to be harder to trigger than it is.
Yeah, I think we saw some YouTubers
It's
did
like
this
a
on their
beautiful
very first
crystal to just find.
Yeah.
I
Gorgeous.
know, look at this. And she just puts it in her pocket.
Puts it right in her butt.
It's in,
Yeah.
I remember one of the best things written in the script was
Crystal pretty.
somebody wrote, Clem puts it up her inventory.
Her inventory. Oh, there's
a Calypso cauliflower.
Cauliflower.
Probably
Did you
get a
say
better-
cauliflower?
Cauliflower.
Calypso, cauliflower.
Cauliflower.
I'm a cauliflower person.
Cauliflower. Cauliflower.
Cauliflower.
I don't like that. Cauliflower.
Cauliflower.
I don't like any of it, actually. I just
Oh.
don't like. When you say words over and over again, you're like, that
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
weird.
Like barn.
Cauliflower.
All right, everybody, get
Barn
ready
enough,
for
it
it. Get
makes
ready
no
for it.
sense.
Look,
Barn.
inner tube zombie.
Oh my god.
Inner tube zombie.
Where's the display text?
It's gonna happen. It doesn't happen right away.
Oh my god.
There it is. Huh.
That's the best notification. Of the
This
whole
went
game.
in so late too, after
Lazy
the
River.
translation. We had to pick a word,
Oh my
Magic
god.
Mountain.
the transcended
Amazing.
language.
That was amazing.
Need some way to start a fire. Need some way to start a fire.
I'm just gonna move this along for the sake of XP. What am I missing? Oh, Flint.
Flint.
There's Flint. There's Flint.
Scene's so well designed that even the person who designed it doesn't know how to solve it.
It's amazing. Yeah, it just you just get immersed in the cave. You know where to go in games.
Nice. Nice one, Clem.
You are smart.
I kind of researched if you could find Flint in this kind of cave, and I decided that yes,
You just
good.
can.
Yeah.
Just- yeah, you
it's just
can.
fine.
There's another tunnel over there.
This was all as hard to like make sure the river was wide enough and make sure that like.
I mean, that fire. I can't get over the
I know.
fire.
It's really
It looks really
good.
nice. Hey, we kind of really have to futz how hard it is for the zombies to get through that crack because we just never got it thin enough. I remember we kept like cramming it in and like making like different lenses to make sure that thing would be thin enough to make it look like the zombies can't get through.
To hold
We,
them out.
we just chalked it up. The zombies are stupid.
Zombies are just really dumb.
They are.
Yeah.
Zombies.
Get down the river and get caught in the rocks. Could work as a bridge. Okay, we just need to go across one by one, and then we'll move the rocks out of the way.
Oh, good God. Somebody help 10. Oh,
Yeah. Good old rock throw.
Doink.
I don't know what that did, but AJ just felt the need to sort of spice it up.
He was just making.
Oh,
an
here's
effort.
Zombie James, who somehow is still attractive despite being dead.
Okay, so this is. I haven't seen Zombie James yet. This
Oh,
is
cool.
if
We
he's
get your
dead on the boat.
Yeah,
okay,
we get your
he-
unfiltered reactions to this branch.
got it. Wow. Oh,
Murder you.
man. Yep.
Remember when Telltale got shut down in the middle of our recording session?
Wait,
Yeah,
Yep.
I do.
That was
I
crazy.
so that day, and I swear I asked Jack, and he told me he had no clue as to what was going to happen. But he randomly that day was like, it was for the final episode. It was theoretically our final recording session. He was like, I want to start with the final scene in the game, and I was like, oh God, you're going to take me there right now. And he's like, I just feel like Kent and Adam will be on board because you guys weren't in the room yet. And so we did it. We got it out of the way. It was super emotional. He took me to a very sad and, literally just this is my final moments recording as Clementine, which for me has been a 7-year journey. So it was just, super emotional. But we actually started with that. And you and Adam were summoned to a mandatory meeting. And
Yeah,
about half an hour later,
the meeting was suddenly scheduled in the middle of our recording session. I was getting like slacks from like Michael Kirkbride being like, and he's been through this thing, a company shutting down before, so he's like, it's over, it's fucking over. I'm like, no, it's not, right? It's like, it can't be. That's crazy. Just keep going. Just keep going and recording just in case something horrible happens. Maybe this audio will be useful later.
as it turns out,
And it turns out we did use several of the things that we recorded in that session.
Thank the gods.
I remember I still had one more session to go.
Yeah,
And
we
I
hadn't done with
just
Violet yet.
finished. And literally, when I walked out of the studio, they called me. Well, my manager called me, and they're like, yeah, Telltale Games is not a thing anymore. And I was like, what do you mean? I was just recording.
Right. Crazy, right? Yeah. Yeah, and it really,
It happened so suddenly, we had no idea it was coming.
Yeah.
My friend Laura Martin, who did the song Pilgrim of Sorrow for the end of episode 3, I remember the weekend before, she was like, I'm about to go in this recording studio. I'm putting my own money up. And she was like, nothing weird is going to happen, is it?
Shit.
And I was like, it's a big company. There's no reason we're going to go out of business next week or something. And then the exact thing happened. I promised her, I was like, I'll pay for it if for some weird reason that happens.
Damn.
But then Skybound came through and
Yeah,
everything's
yes.
amazing.
Skybound to the rescue. Yeah, that was a very traumatic time period for sure.
We could have not have the spooky emotional cave scene if Skybound
I
had saved the
know.
final season.
Yes.
We weren't even going to finish episode 3.
Well, and that was
Yeah.
the sad part because I was basically done. I mean, there's just so much work went into this game, and beyond, whatever any selfish reasons for anything, it's just to honor the work that so many people put into this game. It would have been just fucking sad, tragic if it wouldn't have gotten finished. And for the fans of this game, as you now know, Gideon, are like
Yeah.
really like just.
Man, they sure do love this game.
They do, and that's
Yeah, people were messaging me like, "Are you guys gonna finish? Is there like, are we gonna get to the end?" And I wouldn't say anything 'cause I didn't know.
Yeah.
Wait, here's AJ talking about how there's no life after death. So
There's no life after death.
he's real shook by James.
when you say it like that, Melissa, it sounds very good. It sounds like it's some good news.
Why I keep bringing
Maybe
it.
if Clem had just started singing in the scene, she could have gotten AJ to come around sooner.
Right.
Wants to hurt us? Shoot it right in the head.
AJ.
Damn.
When we were talking
Oh, little buddy.
So design-wise, this scene, I think, this little bit coming up here has probably the most conditional callbacks, like in the entire game. It's like this part references like a whole bunch of stuff you can have said to AJ in sort of like increasing levels of importance.
we'll take you away.
It calls back to like pretty much every important bit of violence you can do in the season. It's pretty neat design-wise.
Yeah.
This is a Michael Kirkbride masterpiece scene.
Listen, kiddo. Everyone is scared of dying.
I think this was the hardest scene, though, like writing-wise, for us to tackle as a team, because it was like, how do we make AJ justify all of this stuff and also just not sound like a little lawyer? You know what I mean? Like, how does he not just bring all this stuff back up in a way that sounds
That's
way
true.
too adult?
In earlier drafts of the scene, he was sounding way too intelligent and adult, and I think we kind of, I think we're riding the line in the final version, but it still works. And it was funny because I think Taylor was like acting a lot of it in the early drafts. Like she was almost acting like too good, like better than AJ would be able to. AJ makes sense when he sort of like rambles and blurts stuff out.
Right.
I'll never forget that there was a line where it was like, I made the world wrong by letting Lily live. And the way Taylor read it, which is like a good way to act, is like, I made the world wrong by letting Lily live.
Oh, right.
And I'm like, that is an amazing piece of acting. That is not how 6-year-old AJ would do it.
Yeah.
So we cut a bunch of that stuff out and sort of made the scene down to just the essential stuff that would kind of make AJ make sense.
Well, and that especially if you're an adult doing a kid voice, it really the writing and and really honing in on exactly how a kid would express their words is, I mean, that's crucial. That's how it was in season 1 for me. You can do the voice all you want, but if the writing is not at the level of what a 8-year-old would be talking, it's going to sound crazy.
That's true. If 8-year-old Clementine started reading tax law to me, I'd be like, something is wrong.
Yeah.
The scene was also really hard to tackle, like cinematically and directorially. Like on the side where James is alive, he's clearly leading the charge, right? Like just grabbing AJ from you and like punching you and all that stuff. But when it's just these two sitting in a cave, I was like, how do we make this visually interesting? And it took us a long time to realize that like AJ just staring into the torch was scary. You know, it was
Yeah.
like, I mean, not a long time, but it was just like, how do we make this feel like it's alive and visually dynamic?
Right.
In a way that's just really just two people talking to each other.
Like,
I'm gonna tell AJ he'll be a good firefighter.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd be a good firefighter.
firefighter. But can you not be so angry?
Yeah, the firelight really makes it, because the scene was always supposed to be like, we're stuck in this cave with a million tunnels and we don't know which way to go, and we need to feel like it's the crossroads of the soul, and like it's really kind of like primal. And like, yeah, actually, once we actually started working the fire and all the compositions, you definitely felt that.
I remember Kirkbride was like, the scene has to take place in a cave, and I think that's what he was trying to tap into. It was like, how do we get into that place?
It took us many months to understand what he meant by when he said
Yeah,
the scene
yeah.
take place
He
in
just
a cave.
speaks in proverbs. It's like Yoda.
All right, I guess I'm gonna trust AJ.
Yeah, trust him because
We gotta hear
Gideon's
the stuff
here.
from Violet that Violet does when 10 bites it.
And we want
Spoilers.
Gideon to live. I think.
Yeah, that's true.
I think she would
I'm
agree with
just
that.
very into this. It's like I'm watching a movie.
Protect others. They're never happy about it.
Killing people doesn't make me happy.
Yeah, this is the big binary of the whole season. This is what it all kind of comes down to as far as you trusting AJ or not.
Aw.
And it was really interesting to see, like, it
guy.
almost seems to depend on what path you're on for people choosing whether to trust AJ or not. In this version, he's more like just upset that killing Lily, he didn't kill Lily and the world got worse.
Right.
So I think more people were actually inclined to trust him on this side, as opposed to the other side where he did kill Lily, and he's like, murder's awesome, it made me feel so good. And then so on that side, a lot of
Loved
people
it.
were like, oh, maybe I shouldn't trust the baby with the gun anymore. And we're not seeing James a lot in this run because we've decided to play Dead James. But James is a character that I actually really like in this season. I thought it was really interesting to have a character who has decided to sort of apply a religious sort of belief system to the idea of walkers. Kind of stuff I was talking about early on, where it's like the couple clearly thought like being walkers is better than being dead. And James sort of takes that to this crazy extreme due to all the like trauma he suffered in his backstory. I thought that was pretty interesting.
It took us a while. I mean, even before you came on board, Kent.
Yeah.
I remember pitching a scene where you would kill a walker, and then James was like, "We have to bury it." Like it would try landing on what was too ridiculous for his like religious
Right.
ideology. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That
Do
still
you know
felt
how
grounded
much
and normal.
time that's gonna take?
It did take a long time to figure out, exactly how crazy James should be.
Yeah, and to the point where he still seems like a real person. He can't seem too far gone, if that makes sense.
I was working with the writer Lauren Me a lot on 403, and I think when we finally got to the point where James kind of, when he says the crazy stuff, he's like, I know this sounds crazy, but you're kind of like, okay, he's self-aware. He realizes his beliefs are kind of like wacky. Then he kind of became more of a believable character. But yeah, that took a long time to get to. It almost was like this cool idea from earlier iterations of the season where it's like, oh, there's a pacifist whisperer. We're like, okay, now what?
Right.
You already know
Took a long time to
Violet
come together,
and I
that
voted
guy.
for you to stay. Asim was the third.
Here,
vote.
10 reveals the secret vote count of the season.
This is
Ah,
my
right.
favorite 10 moment of the season.
It's really nice.
Yeah, he just kind of stops and is like, I have to say this.
It was interesting, too, because we never really confirmed in episode 2 who voted Clementine out exactly.
You could just tell the school would be safer with you there.
We were talking about the pacing earlier. The fact that this episode is so like go, 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 we really had to go out of our way to craft out this little quiet thing here that is the 10 and then the corresponding Violet scene. We had to like make sure that you felt like things were safe enough that it's reasonable they would have these conversations.
Right. Not just completely frantic the whole time.
Yeah, because like now, right at this moment, if we're doing our jobs, the players kind of feel like, oh, most of the threats are dealt with. We got away from the herd.
We're gonna get back to the
The raiders
school.
are all dead. The boat exploded.
Right.
We just gotta walk home.
Yep.
Which anyone
Easy
genre
breezy.
savvy is like checking their watch and be like, that can't be true. Something else is going to happen.
Yeah.
But we hope we at least lull you into a slightly false sense of security
I
here.
remember watching the Let's Players, and they're like, this is not going to end well. Like, as soon as this started to happen, and it felt like we might get out of this
You
alive.
weren't safe with Marlin, even in his safe zone. We were just hiding.
Hey, it's Violet.
Yay!
She's like, don't shoot me.
Don't shoot me with your knife.
All right, we have to give special props to animation lead Ryan Rasmussen for figuring out how to animate all this goddamn
The
hugging.
pinky.
You made it. You're all alive.
So animating a bunch of characters touching is actually way more expensive than characters that aren't touching each other. It actually just takes a lot more time and hours. And so the idea of a 4-way hug was like this 12-hour animation or something on the
Wow.
list, and we were like,
Oh my
do we really
God.
need to
Isn't that
justify these
crazy?
hugs?
You guys talk about how
That's
expensive
amazing.
certain animation and scenes are, and I'm just like, I'm trying to put my brain to that, but it just means that it literally would take 12
You never think
hours.
that because it happens in like 3 seconds, and you're
Right.
like, oh, that was cute. Yeah, but you don't know.
Like, what and who went into that?
Expensive is all man hours, right? It's like how do
Right.
we budget time accordingly?
Yeah.
And it's because we only have so long to finish the game. It's like given infinite time, we could animate almost everything.
Right, of course.
I remember we had some math back on the Batman, which is like a punch will take 2 hours to animate,
Oh my
a single punch, because it's
God.
going to take one to do the layout and one to do the final.
Wow.
And then if there's more characters involved or more punches, they would try to sort of like add 2 more hours for every punch in a given sequence and that kind of thing.
Yikes.
So it just really adds up. Like little simple things can take a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan Rasmussen was there longer than anybody or during office hours. Like I would leave at like
Oh, yeah.
midnight sometimes and be like, he'd still be there. I'm like, you leave? And he'd be like, I don't know, maybe.
Oh,
like he was there all the
Ryan.
time.
That guy's a champion.
Yeah, he really just wanted to nail this thing and put as much love and care in it as possible.
Well, it worked.
He just like wouldn't
Very
accept stuff
effective.
being low quality. Like he would try to find everything he could possibly do to make it good.
It scabs over.
The worst is when it itches. It feels like your finger's still there, and it itches, but there's nothing to scratch.
At least I can still flip people off. Silver lining, I guess. Well, we were looking for you guys, and I thought you might be gone for good. Oh. Shit. I was trying to figure out what I'd do if you were gone. And I realized how goddamn... You know, for scenes like this, you just gotta think about the fact that Violet's never really felt anything for anyone. She's always been so closed off, and now she's opening up about... Well, she's talking about Minnie, and, you know, obviously Clementine is aware of what she feels for her. And I don't know, I just feel like Jack was so amazing. He really just... He knew how to get you there because video games are just animation in general. You're not really following, you know, certain scenes or in order. So sometimes it's really all over the place. Like you could be screaming on like during the boat scene. And then like the next minute he's like, all right, so we're going to jump to this now and need you to get onto this emotional roller coaster. I mean, it's acting in general is kind of like that. But I guess I just had to get kind of sad, you know?
Yeah, and what you're saying too, when we're in the studio, we are hopping around. I mean, you start with like, okay, we're going to start with this horribly tragic moment, and the next you're just aimlessly walking around Ericsson saying, hey, what you building? You know, and you're like, it's a total, like, with, especially with this format of video game, it's like all over the damn place.
I remember this was a big one because, I mean, I think Violet opened up a few times, but this was one of the biggest, oh, right here. This was a big one. Talking about her family, and is she about to... Yeah. What about you? Where'd you live?
It was really fun to direct her visually. Like I think in a way that we wanted to play with a character that was just like inaccessible, you know. And it was like I remember a big note that I kept giving was like you have to fight for Violet's eye line, right? Like she has to only look at you when it's really a big moment, you know. And I think that like really works well with what you did voice wise. You know, it just feels like you're kind of always on
she's
your back
guarded.
foot, ready to run away with any moment.
Exactly. Well, she didn't have a great, I mean, I don't think she had a great childhood. And, I mean, I think she's always kind of been like, Violet's always felt to me, she's been this way her whole life. So I feel like living in an apocalyptic world, like zombies everywhere, she doesn't. She cares, but you know, it's still easy for her to act like she doesn't give a shit about anything. But
It's a survival mechanism. Right?
yeah,
It's like how
and
you survive.
Clementine kind of like, you know, she never really had anyone, but I mean, she had people, but AJ's the one that really stuck by her, and I think that this is Violet and Clementine. It's like their first real kind of friendship, but it's also a love. Maybe for Violet especially.
Depends on your choices, but yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, right.
I know, depends on the choices. I'm talking about
You could have
right
a very
here.
Arc, the Violet arc.
Yeah. We are
Because
in
I
the
know
Violet
that they
romance
could
arc.
hate each other and they could not fall in love too. I know. I did it all.
You can also have
Did it
a
all.
rewarding platonic relationship with Violet.
Very. Have some cute little friendship bracelets.
Friendship.
Friends. Shake hands with some friendship bracelets.
I guess I
Could
made you
also
a
do
pin with a
that.
Clementine on it instead of stars.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's stars. That's the other one. I saw that in the game.
The stars are on her right now, I think. But, you could, but
Okay.
if you're friends...
Is it not a bracelet anymore?
It's always the
No, we
button.
got
It's always a little button.
Oh, why do I remember it being a bracelet?
It may have been a bracelet at some point, but we may have changed it to pins.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I think it was a bracelet.
I do
yeah.
kind of
You definitely- yeah, I'm sure you
remember a
recorded some
bracelet
bracelet
too.
dialogue.
You remember a bracelet
I
too?
do remember
Yeah.
bracelet. I
previous
didn't remember
versions.
until you said it, but now I'm remembering it.
I remember coming up in one of the reviews, actually, we looked at the game, like its first time on its feet, and it didn't feel, I remember the idea of the button with the constellations on it coming up as something that felt like something the player had engaged in. So it was like we could visually show that there's stars, and that was something that was a scene that the player had obviously opted
Right.
into. And if you didn't do that, you just get a button of a Clementine.
Which is also cute.
Yeah.
I think I remember the buttons almost being kind of a budget thing because it's like they didn't really have to be part of the character model because it was really part of the character model that cost more, like more man hours of art. So the fact that the button just kind of like is just sort of attached to the jacket is actually easier for us to build.
Right.
I think it still works character wise, but I remember there being a bunch of like different reasons why we shifted from bracelets to buttons.
Huh. A covered bridge.
I bet nothing dramatic will happen in this ominous evil bridge.
Yeah, nothing
This'll be
bad's
fine.
about to happen.
Especially not with the
now.
Zali.
The Zolly.
What a benign Zolly. I remember pretty late we added this extra little. This isn't really a free walk, but just this little bit of like free player control here.
Cross the bridge.
We just wanted to make you feel like
Wanna make
something
you
bad
feel
was
like-
about to happen.
Yeah, you got to push the stick forward till something bad happens.
Especially when you spin around like
I'm
that.
just spinning. I'm
Yeah.
Pivot.
How
Way to
much-
ruin the
What is
immersion.
it doing?
Ken.
What is it doing for the tension? Hey, look at those birds. There they go.
Here they go.
That's definitely not ominous. How did this guy get this car here?
Yeah, I know, right?
He had a real rough day. I
He was
think.
just having
Like,
fun.
yeah,
He
you
was like,
had
the
to-
world's ending. Fuck it. I'm gonna fuck up this bridge.
Slid in, like what do they call it when the car is? You do the
You parallel parking.
No, the
Donut.
no, where there was a whole movie made about. Anyways.
You drift.
Drifting.
Yeah.
He
Someone
Tokyo
drifted their
his way
truck
across this bridge.
into the bridge.
That's far.
Really far.
Should be able to jump it. It's not that far.
Yeah, I think we can. We just gotta be careful not to land too hard.
I remember thinking for the longest time this entire idea was too silly to work.
I think it's Jeremy.
It's entirely Jeremy's
yeah.
singing being so good. Jeremy Lay, I think.
She played Minnie.
She played Minnie.
Yet another actor. Never met.
I never met. It's one of the few I didn't meet either.
I didn't get to meet her in person. I just met her over the thing. But once we heard her sing this song, it just all clicked and it came across.
I remember coming up to you and I was like, I have an idea for the trailer. And you're like, I already know what I want to do. And I was like, no, you have to hear this idea. And you're like, sure, say whatever stupid thing you're going to say. But I'm going with my idea. And I was
Definitely
like,
what I said.
we have Minnie sing the song. And you're like, that was the same thing. That I was
Lo and
gonna do."
behold,
Yeah.
same page.
Something great minds.
You're dying.
Oh, yeah, Minnie is so fucking horrifying here.
Yeah, it's a pretty.
This is again one of the
gnarly.
coolest bits of like character damage too we've ever done.
Yeah.
And the lighting in the scene. And shout out to Brett Rockstad.
Her
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah, I know. Her eyes really the blood accentuates the blueness,
Accentuates
the
the
light
blueness.
blueness of her eyes.
And Sophie. Together. 10, Look at me. I know that looks like her, but your sister is gone.
I'm...
Don't you fucking speak to him! Any of you! Please? Please, Minnie, stop! He needs to be with his family!
Don't do this! Don't worry.
There's kind of this whole theme in the season about like the found family. Like Clementine and all these kids have sort of chosen to be this family with each other, and Minnie is still holding on to something from the old world. Mm-hmm. She's still kind of like the last, like, we were family before the apocalypse, so we have to be together to the point of utter madness.
And she just really embodies like what could have happened to you had you been captured and kind of brainwashed.
I'll help the boys across the gap. Watch out for the walkers.
This is the work of Grady Standard, this mechanic, I believe,
Grady.
along with the help of Keenan Manley. And Sean Stewart did all the a lot of the cinematic parts of the scene.
Very
I
cool.
mean, this is just amazing for me. I'm like, this is a movie.
It is possible to shoot Minnie in this part, and she
Totally.
will put a walker in front
Do
of
it.
her, and I don't know if I can.
I think she's gonna be in the center next
She's
time.
gonna be in the center next. Oh, fuck!
You died?
Damn it.
No, I didn't.
How do you do that in
I
these
didn't die at
games?
all.
I think you're okay. That's your first. That's the first death.
That's true. I was doing really well.
You are dead.
Really.
I'll help the boys across the gap.
Maybe I
Right.
shouldn't say this, but Grady, after episode 2's bow mechanics, Grady was like, I'm stepping up the bow mechanic.
Was
For the
he
final,
really?
yeah, he definitely put a lot more love and care into how the bow feels and how reactive it feels.
Oh yeah, no.
Certain
it is.
reviews were called out how
Reviews did call out, and I think it was kind of fair, the idea that the bow was kind of a little weak
Why
feeling.
don't they make the game?
They just have to talk
You go
about the game.
make a bow mechanic.
Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? Fuck.
Oh,
Oh, there
I
she
don't
was.
see
I think she's to the
it's
left
okay.
in the center on the next round.
Yikes.
I see her going. I see her going. I see her going. I want
What
to get her.
in the hell?
I didn't realize
There
she
she is.
actually moves around.
Yeah, look,
Oh,
that's rare, right? That's like an
nice.
Easter egg. You only get that if you shoot at her, and she will
Damn.
actually move a walker in the way. Oh, hey, that was
I
synced together perfectly. there, actually.
screamed.
I liked it. I like your reactions.
This is a good fake out. So you just think you're leaving cover again, but then Minnie's like, no, it's me.
That's exactly what we wanted to happen there.
That is the whole feeling we wanted.
You should be a YouTuber. You should totally stream these games.
And for some reason, your illustrious acting
We
career
need
doesn't
a
work out.
Gideon reaction video.
Oh no, bye, Bo. There goes my favorite character, the Bo.
Oh.
You're just something in my way.
Oh, here's the big moment.
No, god damn it.
Oh no.
Son of a...
I just wanted to. I was watching Gideon's face so that I could see her react to that.
What did it do?
Your mouth dropped open. It was pretty good.
I'm taking 10 home.
Minnie! Minnie!
Well, crap. What's 10 gonna do
What's
here?
10 gonna do? Here's Violet's big moment.
I'll get 10.
The first version of this, and we always go through 2 revs of every episode, so we had a version of this that we changed. The only thing AJ's big choice did, it only affected 10's fate. Lewis or Violet always lived through this scene. Actually, everybody always lived through this scene. But 10 was with them when they're climbing the cliff after this, and 10 actually gets Clem bit basically by being slow, because like Minnie dying in front of him like freaked
Oh,
him out.
yeah, that's... Oh, yeah, I remember
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry, Gideon.
Oh.
It's a horrible thing.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Why are you reacting like that? It's just a child being shot.
it's just a child being
Yeah,
murdered.
I know.
Oh my god. Oh my god, no. That's right.
I love this line of Minnie's as well.
Minnie. What the f...
Yeah, and Gideon, you really
What the fuck?
you scared
That's
us
what I
in the
said.
booth with these.
I was definitely horrified.
just so intense, and I remember it, but I'm like watching it. Oh my god.
10 is gone! That soft little boy who liked to draw,
That's pretty
he's
good.
gone because of you!
Damn.
That right
I
there.
didn't
That's
know
the
you could
line.
get that high.
I didn't know that either. That is the line right there, though.
You think that's okay? Just gunning down one of our
I'm
own?
not gonna lie, you genuinely scared me when you were recording these lines. I was like, I'm sorry, Violet. Jesus.
Thank you.
Messing up again, just like when he got Mitch killed. So I had to decide. Clem said I could,
Oh
so...
boy, bring Clem into it.
Yeah. And then the sad little goodbye 10.
Oh,
You can hear the heartbreak, too. Again, excellent work.
oh man.
Now Clem looks like a fucking zombie.
Yeah, she's limping real hard.
Walking around.
She's limping for
Not
justice.
doing too good. Limping for justice.
I'll climb first, and I'll catch you on the way down. Come on! But shit! I got it!
The big choice in the cave just determines sort of how AJ reacted to the fact that 10 got Clem bits. He was either kind of like forgiving, like he sucked up his rage at that happening and sort of like helps 10 to his feet, or he just started beating the shit out of 10. And then that resulted in whether or not 10 survived the barn scene. And that was and then we realized that wasn't really a big enough difference, and we kind of were almost being too nice. There kind of wasn't enough like character death and consequence from like the biggest choice of the game. So we added in the thing where Lewis or Violet will die in that scene if depending on what happens to 10 there.
We did lose one of my favorite lines that Adam Douglas wrote. If AJ attacked 10, he would point a gun at him and be like, "Run that way," and make some of the walkers follow you. And he's like, "Make yourself useful for once." And Taylor's read on it was so good. It like made me cringe.
Yeah, there was some really dark AJ
Yeah,
stuff
there
there.
was.
But it almost didn't like.
It was. I
It almost
remember
kinda
those
didn't
lines.
Like what?
Oh, is that one zombie preset number B? The one to do it.
Zombie preset number B.
He's the one to do it. How dare
Oh,
he?
and in this moment, actually, like 10,
Oh, shit.
10 formerly was like waiting to get. He wouldn't
He just wouldn't climb.
climb, and then AJ threw a rock at his head.
Yeah.
To get his attention, and I kind of missed that moment too. But I mean, we ultimately landed on, I think, a better version of the story. But those little moments were pretty good.
It makes it so in the end there's no objectively right way for that bridge scene to go.
Yeah.
They're both horrible for different reasons. They both offer like benefits in different ways.
Your leg!
I remember I think at one point we had a choice here to react to the bite, and we took it away so you could just kind of sit with it. Like we didn't want a lot of dialogue after the bite is revealed.
Let's draw this out as much as
One
possible.
side, and you're like, okay, that looks bad, but there's still no bite over there. You're like, what about this? Oh, motherfucker!
Still not. Oh well.
We did once have a callback.
Still
to
not
that.
what, Melissa?
Yeah. We actually once had a callback to Still Not Bitten, and we realized that that's actually only in one choice in one branch of episode 2. Season 2. It's become so ubiquitous. You'd think it's Clem. You'd think Clem always says that in all playthroughs, but it's
Right.
actually just on a button.
Yes.
It's
I
almost
know.
what everyone chooses, but it's
Right,
not actually.
right,
It's not
right.
actually like hard canon.
Right.
Like, it's based on a choice.
I remember personally objecting to it, and the fans can hate me for this, but it was mostly because it'd been 5 years since you said that. And
Oh,
it's
to
who
have it-
remembers what they said?
Well,
5
yeah,
years
we did
ago?
record her saying in many different ways, well, still not bitten. or,
Yeah.
Shit, still not bitten, or whatever.
Yeah, but that seems to imply that Clem is aware that she is a fictional character
Yeah.
who knows she's remembered for that line.
I remember proposing we cut it, and then I was like, I know
Right.
that you guys. I put the slack emoji
Right.
where the gritted teeth. I was like, I know that everyone's gonna hate me for saying this, but we should probably cut that line.
I agree
I
with
think
you,
it
man.
worked out really, really well. What you ended up with, what you did, was probably better.
How you doing, Gideon?
She's so upset.
I'm so sad.
She's really into it.
It's too bad we're only doing audio for this because Gideon's
I
face
know.
right now.
staring at this with a frown.
Everyone's face when this moment happened.
We have 3 jaded people who know what's going on, and then poor Gideon here reacting to it all in real time.
No, I remember this. I
Yeah,
haven't seen
You haven't
it.
seen it.
Seeing it is a
big
totally
difference.
different thing than just seeing it on the
Well,
page.
and that's like when we record, we don't see any of the animation. I mean, we get
Exactly.
to sometimes hear each other's lines, but
If it's green.
Yeah, on the scripts where we show the actors, if it's green, you can click it and play it. And if whoever has been recorded before will typically have the actors play off those lines to
Right.
make sure they sound
is
like they're in
nice.
the same world together.
Yeah.
I would always try to do Melissa first, just because you had the most lines and everyone was kind of feeding off you, and you were in every scene. I know,
Right.
but I don't think it always worked out that way scheduling wise.
Schedules.
I think for the season, the only session that was together was you and Fenoy, right? For the flashback. Did that happen?
No,
We didn't
dang,
know.
we
We didn't.
faked it. I think.
Oh, we thought we were going
Yeah.
to do it, and then we didn't do it.
I would have been
Okay.
great. Well, I think he recorded first, and I think I came in and recorded, and I think Jack brought him back because he wanted him to, actually go off of my performance on that. I could be totally. I might be speaking out of my ass
I
right
remember.
now.
I'm pretty
to-
sure. I remember when
Whoever's
Dave
listening.
recorded.
Yeah.
No,
I love you.
everybody.
sorry.
Oh,
Dang, I didn't know you were going to pick a choice all of a sudden. Sorry.
I'm so into it now.
Okay.
Well, I've been into it, but it's like right now it's just woof.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you wouldn't have read the script for any of these scenes because you're not in them.
The scripts are huge.
They are large enough to kill a man
They're
with.
giant.
What were
That's
you
another fun fact about Jack. Jack's been doing this for so long, he still demands paper scripts. So he'll have like
Yes.
a giant binder that is
Yeah.
the entire
Yeah.
script printout. He needs it several days ahead of time so he can read through it and make all his own notes.
I remember at one point I was like,
little stickies.
Jack, I can't, because they gave me a paper script once, and I was like, it's gonna take me a while to flip back and forth to every single page, and it wasn't stapled or put together. It was just like in a box, so I'd literally had to pick up the paper and place it on the side. And then they got me an iPad, but it was huge.
Right.
It was like when I saw it actually and for the first time.
It's complicated too with all the branches and different dialogue choices. You're
Oh,
like,
it's crazy.
"What?"
Yeah, it's obnoxious reading a Telltale.
Yeah, it is.
Move! Go, AJ, run! I'm right behind you.
All right, Rebbert, we're coming up on the barn, which is like your design masterpiece, I would say.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Press it!
I'm pressing it really hard.
Press A!
I'm pressing it.
Press it!
Oh, it's okay. No, AJ's here. He said.
Okay.
That's been one of my favorite things to watch
That is
people
one of the
react
best
to.
QTs in the game.
Oh my god.
Why is it so slow?
Because she's
Because she's
hurt.
dying.
She got
No,
legs that don't work any
the
real
A,
good.
the A.
Because filling up, she's tired, and the meter fills it up as fast
We're
as she
aligning
can.
you with the character.
Because look, it's getting tiny, and I can't do it. I can't
Oh
do
my
it. But then
God.
AJ joins, and now I can do it. And now
Wow.
I can do it.
That's amazing.
I mean,
pretty cool.
whoever designed this is.
Goddamn genius.
Yeah.
All right, I'll just gush praise on you since you're going to be sarcastic about getting compliments. Like, so you click on stuff and like Clem, you click on it, Clem can't reach it, and so you're kind of playing as Clem. But then AJ goes and gets it, and the camera follows him.
Fucking
And
brilliant.
then this prompt is like, oh my god, it's AJ. AJ's doing it. I can't
it is.
not describe this
Huzzah,
sarcastically
sir.
now because Chris has established this tone.
I am uncomfortable with positive
You should
feedback.
be comfortable with how goddamn good this whole bit is. It's one of the
Well,
cool-
actually,
yeah.
honestly, it's kind of sad watching people play through because they're just so upset.
Right, right. They're not really
that one,
taking
they're
it
like
in.
they're never like really in. It's like,
wow,
why am I
this
even
is
bothering
brilliant.
anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
To be
right.
fair, the design is just supposed to be felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we need is for academics to write papers about this scene and then publish them on Kotaku.com.
Yes.
We need to get those pin doors closed.
I mean, the whole cinematics team did great. Like I can't. Like this last episode, they really killed it. But this scene in particular, Colin Stewart and Michael Gambino just fucking destroyed. It was like I also remember this is one of the few scenes that I've ever prevised to death.
Oh,
this
yeah.
in the car sequence, but because I had the luxury of time to do that. But like, I don't know, just this scene is just so well done from their standpoint.
Colin Stewart also famously did the Violet Date in episode 2.
Oh yeah,
Which is just masterful acting in it.
and the scene where you first meet Lewis at the piano.
Oh,
Good character
gun.
acting, that guy.
No, man.
That's the first time Clem's really had to contemplate using a gun since like the events of the McCarroll Ranch incidents, which is pretty cool.
That was a conscious decision, I think. On her
Yeah,
part.
I love the part where she's acting there. She's like seriously looking at she's like, don't hand me this. She like doesn't want to have to do it again.
Hurry!
I'm doing it.
I know.
I'm doing it.
Oh my
I'm mashing
God.
A as
I
fast
love
as
how-
I can.
I love how Gideon thinks like you can win.
I love this zombie here. I think Gambino hand animated that shot where the zombie goes.
Wow,
"Brrr."
that's awesome.
Gambino actually hand animated a couple
Really?
shots of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so talented.
So like on top of the cinematic work, he also brought some of these shots into Maya
Damn.
and did the animation deliberately.
He was really invested in this. I mean, everybody was. The whole Still Not Bitten team really wanted to stick this landing, and
Damn, and
just-
they
I love how
did.
fast
that
AJ
just
is.
goes
He's
to
so
show
fast.
you how
Yeah,
much.
and you did. You.
I didn't do shit. I just told them what to do.
You're
Just
very
like, make
good
this
at telling.
better.
You're very good at telling me.
Come on.
I love
that's-
how serious AJ looks when he
I
pulls
know
the
that-
wheelbarrow. He's like bolt upright.
Can
He's
I
like,
just
this
say-
is my job.
Watching Gideon play this right now, or watch this right now.
Is it validating for
I'm
you?
telling you,
It's
it's like
so-
being next to like the reaction videos.
She's so immersed and so invested. She's
guys-
like, fight, goddammit.
Proof is in the pudding.
You guys might have just seen that little. I wrote most of the inventory notifications for the scene. And that one deliberately was from AJ's perspective.
I remember there was a debate over that one.
Yeah,
Like, Clem needs me.
but I get to win debates.
Yeah.
Bam.
I voted to keep that one.
Thank you, Rebbert.
Holy Christ, they just keep coming.
I love that one zombie pushing the hay out of the way like she's like
Damn.
getting some groceries.
Yeah, I know.
She's like, let me in.
Oh,
no, we're out of
well,
bullets.
Jiminy
Oh, what do we
crickets.
do? Oh, what we do is kill.
Shit.
Well, can you
So-
just close
remember
the
that? Remember that?
frickin'
Yep.
doors?
Stab, knee,
You
head.
gotta stab the knee. AJ's learned. He's learned,
Stun,
as the player
stab.
has learned.
Sun stab.
Yeah.
Quick pop quiz. What's this game mechanic called?
Shit. Oh God, dang it.
Oh, really?
Am I
thought that was
supposed to
a
have
gimme.
remembered it?
Oh shit, it's Zombat.
All right, I ruined
Zombat.
it. I ruined the
Zombat.
flow.
Getting AJ to do Zombat took so much work. And it's just
No, I
like
just
this
have a
like
horrible memory.
30-second season, this 30-second sequence. But it's really awesome that AJ has he's
Yeah.
just filled with a tiny baby
Look
rage.
at him.
Close! Close the door!
Gotta do it. He's doing it.
I know. Like, get on it. Get on it, kid. Boom.
no.
For the.
Where the fuck did you come
Oh, my
from?
God.
Got him.
All right.
That last
That made me
interaction,
angry.
That was the last thing I added to the scene because I was like, we just need one little last like action button.
I was glad you guys added that. It's like the perfect little punctuation to this whole bit of madness.
I would love to take credit for it, but that was actually Grady Standard and
Zombies are
Michael
stupid.
Gambino
Another Grady
suggested it.
standard move.
Good job, AJ. You did it.
So, Melissa, how was it like doing this bit?
Oh God. Really heavy. It was a very heavy scene to record. Just in, I mean, especially just basing the performance on what Clem went through with Lee in season 1.
Yeah, I was actually
Yeah.
wondering if you were thinking about the parallels of the time with the obviously
I-
infamous Lee scene that this is clearly calling back to.
Totally, I totally was. But in the same way, Clem was also still in kind of this, like, mom mode of, I mean, just like how Lee was with her, but also just trying to not upset him and keep it chill. But this is what we need to do, kid. And no, it was really heavy. I'm trying to remember if Taylor recorded before me. I don't think she did. I think it was me on my own at this point. But yeah.
Yeah, no.
I feel like I'm not supposed to say too much because of spoilers, but I realize if anybody's watching this,
Word.
everything's
If this
gonna.
is the first
Yeah,
time
I know,
they're
right?
playing it.
Right,
with us
right.
talking over it, then
I
they kind
know.
of deserve that.
What an annoying way to play an episode.
why would you choose to do that? If you've done that, what are you doing?
I mean, we love you.
Yeah.
Thanks for playing.
Thank you for purchasing this game.
Yeah, and I know that this scene did change a little bit too, if I'm not mistaken, in the ultimate outcome of what happens after this a little bit, a little.
The main thing I remember
tweaked.
changing was
Well, it used to be a
This is so
gun.
sad.
yeah, they used to have one bullet left.
Right.
But then we realized we kind of needed to make the axe fake out work, so we had to have the axe sort of appear earlier
Well, it
sort of in
wasn't-
the sequence.
She also originally bitten in her arm, or am I thinking of something?
We did have her
forgot
bitten in the
about
arm at
that.
one point, and was a completely fair note we actually got from Skybound, which they're like, well, Rick is missing an arm.
Right.
But there was a
right.
great moment that Michael Kirkbride wanted where she got bit, like reaching down for 10 in
Yeah.
that version of it.
Mm.
And then you're like, as soon as she got bit, she kind of looked at her hand, and the player was going to be like, oh my God, did that just happen? And then another zombie bit her hand immediately right thereafter.
Right.
Because we were just trying to be as mean as possible.
You're like, it's so real now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't even pretend it wasn't real.
Not for long.
Yeah, but that was the thing, is that you'd be looking down the barrel of the gun when you were shooting as Clem, and you'd see the bite mark. So we'd just keep it that more visually present.
Yeah. In Weird Way, even though it's not what we originally intended, it actually kind of works almost better for this idea that like Clem's sort of done, at least for now in the story, with her like running around days.
Grab that axe. You know what to do with it.
It also, like,
Ew.
I remember in working on the scene with Adam Douglas and, like, how do we put the fucking axe in AJ's hand in a way that feels organic? So that's why the gut up thing came in here. But it also kind of helped call back to the jewelry store from 105 where,
You have to make AJ do something for you.
yeah,
because you
yeah,
make the
where
Clem do
Lee's,
something
like,
for you.
pointing for things to Clem to pick up.
Shoot them in the head.
I think I made the call to have AJ covered in guts, and we were worried it would look too silly. And in the end, I think I just love it.
It looks great. It does look like strawberry jam a little bit, but
He does look kind of delicious.
Fuck. And the last rule.
I want to stay with you. I know what'll happen. And I don't care. I don't want to go. I just want to sit next to you and stay. Like that monster couple from the train station.
Oh.
No one would hurt us. Just sitting
Oh, poor baby.
forever.
And hey, we call back to 401.
yeah.
Live for me.
Yes, okay, you can pick the right one.
Oh, good.
Your read on this where you say you have to grow tall, and I can't remember.
Oh, it's so good.
It like hurts every time I
It's,
hear it.
it was painful.
We definitely
to
knew the scene was
record.
working because several times we watched it, and I was still just like, oh, my heart. Like every single time we saw it.
I remember the first time we played through the scene though as a team, it kept crashing.
Oh, that was so painful.
damn
We did
it.
like a couple choices in and have to restart it again. I'm like, okay, well, the emotional impact is kind of ruined at this point.
It was just like this whole like audience, oh, like at the same time.
That's my job.
Last rule.
No.
What do we do if I get bit? Are you gonna make me say it?
This is the only time AJ ever cries in the entire season. It's an important like thematic callback. You see him crying in the ranch, and you actually see the moment he stops crying, and this is the only time he's cried since, which is only when Clem is.
You have to kill me.
Wait,
Gotta
let's
kill
let
me.
Gideon choose.
You have to kill me.
All right.
AJ, you have to kill me. Don't let me become one of them.
Even his little eyes are red, like he's been crying.
Kill me.
No.
This facial stuff here is just amazing. This is all
This
Gambino's
was
magic.
also, I think this is another thing that
Gambino
Gambino
hand
hand
animated this whole
animated.
shot, this whole sequence here.
This was like, I remember being in a room
Shit.
with Etienne, with the sound designer in this scene, and like trying to figure out the exact right noise for the axe to make.
I remember at one point we had it really gooey. We had like
Yeah.
a horrible like meat like sound when the axe came down, and I was like, no, maybe not. Like I don't think we should do that.
One time we had broken glass. It was really weird, and
We had tried a
didn't
bunch of
make
like
any
weird
sense.
like artsy things with it. But in the end, it's just like a whoosh noise. So
Yeah.
it's like, that's fine.
It was like less is more in this moment.
AJ, I'm coming.
All right, well, here we are at the ranch.
Well, we saw a little bit of this in the little episode two.
It's hinted
right?
at in a few other episodes.
Hinted at.
It's discussed in the very first episode as AJ goes, "Man, the ranch was nice too before the blood." And then there's a nightmare sequence of it in 2, which is called back to directly here with visuals, where we see like things like a horse dies in a burning hallway, and you're like, "What is all this weird David Lynch shit about?"
This has got to be the most controversial scene of the season.
Oh, absolutely. It's very weird and artsy, and we kind of knew we wanted to do stuff that kind of like pushed the boundaries like this in the final season. It's like there was a whole era of Telltale games that really didn't get to do stuff like this because it's like everything has to be dialogue, everything has to be plot, everything has to like be like player agency based. But like just actually getting to do like a really interesting like sort of atmospheric sequence like this.
And it was designed and written almost completely. I don't think we did much to it, but before Telltale went under.
Yeah, we made some
and
little tweaks.
It was
I
kind
don't
of
like
our
it.
I don't like that either.
our chance to kind of explore what a future game might feel like.
I'm looking for a boy. He's
Here's Mark Barbelak right here.
Lawyer / amazing voiceover talent.
Yeah.
It might not be known, but this character's name is Rodney. He has a name.
He has a name.
I think because we thought he was kind of going to look like Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, he was
and he doesn't really.
Yeah.
But, you know,
in an ideal world, he would have had giant buggy eyes, but
didn't really have time for that.
And, oh God,
it was
I'm
supposed to be
totally-
just freaky looking.
What did Rodney Danger? What was his thing? What did he say?
He wouldn't tell her
could
where
get no
where
respect.
the AJ was.
I can't get no respect. Yeah, that's
Can't
what
get
it
no.
is.
Oh,
That guy said that line and it got
that
cut.
too, Ken. But
yeah.
This is also Mark Barbelak.
It is. Yeah. It's really fine, so.
just put him in the booth.
This guy's so cool looking.
How many voices can? Yeah, that's really.
all
that's
ember.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Ember
beautiful.
Man.
back! Please! I beg of you! Eat some of this shit! Another one? Fuck you!
And there's me.
Hey, there's Eddie from 400 Days.
Is that you?
It was modeled after me.
Oh wow.
Before I
You'll
worked on
see in
Telltale.
this close-up shot here, it looks like a spitting image of Rebbert from a certain era in his life.
I just want to say it publicly that it was Ken's idea to put him in the scene.
Well, it's like we had to make these 4 new ranch characters, and they could be anybody, right? So we're like, it'd be kind of neat if we had a callback to like a 400 Days character or something, but it can't be somebody Clem would know because otherwise she would stop and wouldn't do that.
Right.
It couldn't be like someone important.
I remember when we played through the scene the first time, Chris Reeser, who was one of my episode directors and good friend, he was the one playing the scene. And as soon as he shot Eddie, he turned back to me and he goes, "I've always wanted to do that." And the whole team laughed and I felt terrible. But it was funny.
And hey, look, here's where that car came from in 401.
Oh,
Somebody drove it in
yeah.
here and sort of gave up. I actually
No, what
realized
was
now
it?
it's kind of
Barba. What was it called again?
the Barbelak.
The Barbelak.
The Barbelak.
It's
okay.
like Cadillac, but Barbelak.
Literally his last name. Okay.
Chris, isn't that song playing on the radio there? One of yours?
It's it's my band Unicornucopia.
way.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, I wish I could hear.
We
it.
wanted it was a last minute decision. I remember seeing when I was a kid a car crash where like the radio was still playing. It was
Yeah.
like the creepiest thing
Yeah,
ever.
yeah, totally.
And
Everything is like destroyed except the song.
yeah,
is
so the song is still playing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I wanted to try to evoke that feeling, and it was just that idea came late enough that it was like we need to get music quick. So
Yeah.
we took my band song and put
That's
it on the radio.
awesome.
AJ.
Clementine kind of leaves on this like blind crusade to find AJ sort of at all costs in the
Yeah.
previous season.